Hey, Jamie. Oh, shit. Pardon my French. I
Wow,
forgot to turn the music off.
that's an opening.
Hey, Jamie. How's it going?
Good.
That's the PG version.
Hmm.
Ah, I don't think anybody was watching the first 3 seconds, so
Yeah,
I got away with one.
yeah. Well, I
Isn't there
mean,
like the live TV has it's probably like a clause that allows people to get out of one cuss word.
I thought this was like I dropped food on the floor and there's a 3 second rule. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, how's it going? How's it
we'll just
going
have to
down
talk to the editor and see if the editor can handle it. So
there? Yeah, yeah. We might have to do that. I have their phone number on speed dial
okay,
memorized,
gotcha.
or email maybe. Oh, there's one thing before. Well, two things. My dog is struggling to get comfortable, which is stressing me out a little bit. But that's a story for another day. She's fine, but uh, also not fine. But the other thing is, I don't know if you've listened to our old friends at ArchiSpeak. Have you heard their latest episode all
I've
the
not,
way through?
I've not heard the latest one all the way through. No,
Oh, okay.
it
So
dropped.
I wanted to,
It dropped this week, right? Yeah.
yeah. And I happened to I was trying to do a bunch of drawings yesterday, and it came up and played, and I listened to the whole thing all the way through. Cormac and Evan, I'm sure they're listening, and a little shade was thrown my way by our friend Cormac. He made a mention about not yet receiving coffee beans, coffee sketch coffee. He did not explicitly name names. No names were named. However, he implied a recent conversation that the four of us had about coffee and not receiving said coffee. So,
Well, he also did mention for my birthday. He's like, I hope no one promised you that the coffee was in the mail.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. So
yeah.
I'm just saying that whole meme that I sent with like the say anything, holding up instead of holding up the boombox, it was holding up a big thing of coffee beans. Um, you need to go to Gross Point Blank and just like
Gross
do your,
point blank.
do your thing.
That's right. The drive through gross point blank, gross point,
Yep.
St. Clair Shores, Gross Point Shores, Grossy, whatever. Chuck him out the window. Yeah, he's down there. Um, yeah, we'll see. I have had him in
See,
studio.
See now, if you turned into your studio and just were like, look, I've even got it right here with this like a post-it note on it for him, like then we all could go, oh yeah, totally, it's right there.
Yeah,
You can make that in for the next episode.
there is a presentation on next Monday.
Props.
I'll bring it. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Put it
And
in a
I
really,
can
you could put it in a really fluffy bag with like cellophane paper kind of sticking out the top, and
gift bag.
yeah,
Get the gift bag style. I'm gonna blame. I'm just throw the blame right on my dog and the disc injury to her neck.
I don't think
Cormac.
Ellie, I don't think Ellie needs any more blame. I
I
think I
know.
think
Right?
I think
Insult to injury.
you put the coffee in the bag with the cellophane, and then you also buy a bottle of wine and you stick it in there as well, and
Wine.
then
Yeah.
you just and then
Yeah.
he's
I'm
overjoyed.
gonna buy a bottle of wine for Cormac. I'm gonna uncork it, let it get stale, then recork it.
Oh no! This is not a like, there's no shade involved in this. There's no like I don't know.
Oh, oh, you mean the buck stops here? Is that I
This,
have to stop?
yes. I
I
think
gotta
so.
stop the
Yeah.
hate. Is that what the
This episode really turned a different direction than I thought.
Well, you did I forgot to pretty sure I mentioned that to you. Uh, but yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's happened. That's out there this week. Um,
You just
that's
need to like, dirt off your shoulder. Just take care of it. It's
right.
done.
That's right. Just like that for those watching.
Yeah.
So, how about you? They didn't say anything about you, so you're in the clear. And so, what do
They
you?
wish me happy birthday and that's it. So
What
we're all good.
coffee are you drinking?
I I have been I did have some of ours this week. Um, but right now I am having I was at the store and saw this and was excited because I haven't had it in a while. It's from Independence, Texas. Well, it's Independence coffee. It's actually from Brenham, Texas, which is really close to Independence. But it's their backyard pecan, which just feels like fall to me. So, um, you know,
Pecans, yes.
and it's Texas. It might have been 100 a couple days ago, so it could have been over 90 today. But you know, damn if it's not autumn. So
Hmm. We did pass the equinox
yes,
last week, so yes, it is fall, even though your thermometer might not be saying so. But yeah,
and fun
but
fact,
the coffee says so.
fun fact, I did go back and listen to some highlights from a few years ago when Jamie, introduced you to the Arc Inktober,
Mm.
um, which is a fun episode for people to listen to because um, we go through. I don't know. It's a couple minutes of us arguing about. Well, it's more like you like casting aspirations and shade against me for saying the word
Whoa.
arc versus architecture and archy, and like there's this whole vocabulary thing going on there. Um, yeah, it's really good. You got some good zingers in on that one.
Oh, that I'll have to go back and re-listen to that because
Yeah, it's fun because we talk about the you know the idea of trying to draw with someone else's prompts, and yes, we're here at the end of September, and so our next episode 132 will be about Archinktober or Archinktober, whichever one's the more appropriate pronunciation for Kurt. And you know, if you follow us on social media, we've posted the prompts. We are not responsible for the prompts, but we have definitely invited folks to participate. We will be participating ourselves. I might have um, shouted out Chuck D because he is quite the sketcher. Um, and
it's
then
true.
Sterling before had suggested Aesop Rock. So I mean, there's a couple people.
Yeah, and it's always fun. It's kind of like every New Year's we do resolution podcast, and then every October we do Arc Inktober resolutions, and Jamie always gets
Me
much
too.
farther than I do.
You totally stumbled too. I love it. I love it. I'm not the only one. Not my Canadianness, all coming out.
So,
So, what kind of coffee you got today?
yeah. Oh, I have our friends in Flint,
Oh,
Rootless.
yeah, yeah. I know. I thought I might see the package coming with with the light bright, but I might need to
Oh
talk.
my God,
Might need to
you
talk
and
to Cormac.
Cormac.
I mean, might need to talk to him about that. So,
Maybe it got mixed up by our friends at UPS.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's it's in the It's in the cup. Man, I'm really losing today. Just
Yeah.
getting it. Getting,
Well, and because I do remember talking about my love of the light bright, as a child.
that's right.
Yeah,
And it is your birthday,
it
or
it well,
your
it was.
birthday has recently passed.
Yeah, I'm not one for like extending it. It happened. It's good. I had a good time. Like, let's move on. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, so what about you then? Let's change the subject over to your cup of coffee.
I said it's the pecan, backyard pecan, buddy. So
Oh, right. Yes, right.
tasty,
The
tasty.
fall, the autumn. I'm getting a little nervous, so I gotta
It's Texas,
deflect, deflect.
Texas pecans. So
So I know you have to go. This is going to be a bit of a shorter one today. Look, this the short and sweet,
hmm
but because just Jamie's got a
short,
thing, and
sweet, fun.
I gotta
You
make some food, or else I'm gonna get in trouble by
know,
the missus. So there's that going on too. But so let me flip this on because this is almost as recent as Jamie's birthday is Batman Day.
yeah, there's like a nice coincidence there. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that about the marketing. So yeah, making up made up holidays and then marketing them around the target audience. So I feel like I'm a target part of the target audience on this. So
hmm Yes. So is there some significance to the day?
I have no idea if there's
The
actual
date?
significance
I
to the day.
mean,
Yeah.
was it the first Batman sketch?
I would love it to
Was it
be the first appearance, but don't believe so. I mean, I
was
think
it
it
the
was.
first comic book? Is it the first time Adam West was on screen? Or even older that there's older than Adam West, right? There's
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
version
There's like
that
a
predates him.
mhm.
So,
I found a really cool photo of Adam West um, in costume in the Batmobile, um, and I almost did that as my sketch for Batman Day, um, but um, my but M's birthday is just a little bit in front of mine, and so
mhm.
I had done a couple Batgirl sketches because I've always sort of joked with her about that. She had kind of an affinity for Batgirl. No surprise there. But so I'd done a couple of sketches of that kind of in leading up to um, that, and then had interspersed it with a few other different sketches for my daily sketch, and but then for Batman Day, kind of um, did one and then a second one, and yeah, it turned out pretty good.
And it's always fun to kind of celebrate this holiday that uh, Warner Brothers invented. I don't know.
Probably, yeah. It's totally
Well,
fictional.
I shouldn't say Warner Brothers. I should try and pay homage to DC Comics,
Right.
where Batman emerged from. But um, Warner Brothers has that movie contract. So
Well, I mean, and that's the whole thing, right? Is like all these you know comic book, graphic novel, writer, artist, creations have sort of migrated to film, which I have no problem with, absolutely. Um, animation or film, but uh, it's there's a lot of storytelling. There's a lot of digging in the crates, and kind of enjoying kind of all that creativity that came before in terms of the storytelling and art. So it's one where I don't mind bouncing back and forth, between genres and time periods and all that stuff too, because
mhm.
it's like I remember being a little kid and and seeing reruns of Batman on TV, right? And going, this is totally campy. Even
Right.
as a little kid, you knew it was totally campy. But at the same time, my the fun thing, and if anybody who does follow me on Instagram has seen an image of a couple sitting on, like, it looks like almost like a Model T Ford. And so
Mhm.
that was for my, for my, yeah,
You have
for
it
my,
over here.
yeah, for my grandparents, my mom's parents. And so there was sort of an anniversary in there, and it was just something that was super special, and it got reminded of some things that were personal. And in talking to my mom, and she's telling me some stories about them, and I have this wonderful black and white photo of my grandparents. And so I turned around, like, after I got off the phone with my mom, and did this sketch from the photo, and then sent it to her. So it was, at some point in your life, you start to get, a little sentimental and all that stuff. But my grandfather, my mom's dad, was a mechanic his whole life, and always was fascinated with cars. And just, this photo with him, with my grandmother, with a car, it just was, they're like, they're at the beach or something, or some lake, or, whatever. And, she's in a bathing suit, and he's like in like slacks with his shirt off, and it's so classic for the two of them. And, I only knew them when they were, I'm the youngest grandchild. So I knew them when they were really, really old. I was fortunate to spend a lot of years with them. But it's, these photos of them for me are really special. And, and that's the stuff that you think about, especially around your birthday and things like that, as family and things like that too. So, but yeah, I've been drawing a bunch of different stuff, this last month. And, yeah, this particular sketch was kind of fun. Kind of, like I said, I jump around with a lot of different varieties of things, and some of them
Mhm.
come, like even this sketch that we got on the screen, of them. It was as intense of an image as it is, graphically. This one was fast.
Oh yeah.
And I was really proud of myself for capturing it as fast as I did, because I hadn't, when I start to do portraits, and especially portraits of people that are like special to me,
Mhm.
um, that's when the nerves kick in, um, and
Yeah.
you feel like you can't fudge it,
Mhm.
and you're, the biggest critic of yourself. But this was one that was special, and I was able to, kind of give it to my mom, so that was cool.
That's cool. It is a great sketch, actually. The as you said, the sort of graphic intensity. It's very darkly rendered. I wouldn't say it's not a dark, emotional image. It's a positive, uplifting. It's a nice scene. As you mentioned, your two grandparents sitting on the bumper of an old car. And did you say it was a Model T?
Well, it kind of, it's not, but it kind of
Oh,
feels like that.
it's
I
got
mean,
the
it's
old
it's
timey.
it's kind of
Yeah.
got that, I'm not a car person.
Oh, I see. So
um,
it's Americana.
but it's, I mean, but that was the thing, is like, it. My grandfather was the type of, um, he was the guy that could, your car, you could turn your car on and say there's something wrong with it, and he would just listen.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Yeah,
then he would pop the hood and maybe listen some more, and then tell you what was
yeah,
up with it. And so, but like, I think I've told you this, is that, like, Formula One, and was his like Super Bowl. That was, that was his thing. Was, the Grand Prix and all that
yeah.
stuff. I mean, that was, otherwise, he just was really happy to just be around his family. You know, so
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I think that's definitely a skill set and a trait that probably doesn't happen or exist very much. And even nowadays, with all the technology in cars, you probably couldn't necessarily open a hood and be like, listen for a type of vibration or something like that. But
No,
um,
and that's I think that's the fun thing about it is that like as much as I think he would be absolutely amazed by all the technology of cars today. I think he would also appreciate it too. Um, because it was, um, even as a car guy, I mean, he was kind of conscious of, not necessarily his mortality, but it was sort of conscious of like how much the world is changing.
hmm,
Um,
sure,
but I mean, all my grandparents have like had eighth grade educations. It was like
yeah,
so for them, all of their grandkids, on both sides, all the things that we've done and places we've been, it's all fascinating. It was always fascinating to them.
hmm.
And yeah, but
Oh, that's cool. The multi generational, as the wish to have the youth, the younger generations sort of go farther, or in career or education and things like that. And your point about his appreciation of F1, that's like a whole other, there's sort of this old car here, and then F1, which then sort of it represents like the epitome of technology in automotive engineering. Because my brother is an engineer and loves F1 for probably a lot of the same reasons, because of and he's talked about the sophistication of those vehicles, to points where I don't really, I can't even can't even recall, because it's
yeah.
complex stuff. But
Well, I
it's
mean,
complex for me, right? I don't know.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like the idea of like you've probably heard him talk about the pilots. I mean, it's that you know that level of love and passion and sophistication for that is really evident. And I think that you know that's the thing about for me, even just in terms of our discussions about art and architecture and technology and influence, it's like um, the last month. I mean, if anybody goes through my sketches, it's a real mixed bag. I mean, I've got portraits of family members who have passed away. You know, I mean, my grandmother and grandfather passed away when I was a teenager. So
Mhm.
the uh, so but they hold like a real special spot in my memory even today. And then other sketches like the Batman stuff, it's like that's the reason why I bring up my grandmother is that she she was the first person to sit me down and give me pencils as like a little kid
Mhm.
and let me draw.
Mhm.
And my parents had
Mhm.
gone like on like one of those like drop the kid off the grandparents and go out for a little bit. um, and they came home and I'm laying on the floor with my grandmother, and all I'm doing is just papers everywhere and crayons and draw pens and pencils. And they're like, what have you guys been doing? And I apparently had just been drawing. I drew like the whole time they were gone. Like she just decided that that was something that she wanted to do with me. Um, and my mother just, and I kind of remember, that, my nanny, was always encouraging me to draw and do my art. And that was the way she referred to it, was do your art.
Mhm.
Um, and, but it was like, some of that early stuff was, comic books and Batman
Mhm.
and all that good stuff. So,
Yeah.
when I do these, I think about stuff like that.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I know you got to go, so I'll just say one last thing about the the thread that ties it all together, right? I mean, the subject matter may sometimes not be obvious to the listener or the watcher of what we talk about, but I think you summarized pretty well right there, is how these things sort of weave together in one's mind and then translate into pen to paper. And so in that, I mean, that's really the essence of a sketch, right? Is the fact that it's the generation of something from an idea, and our brains are complex enough to think about multiple things at one time, right? Or overlapping series of concepts, things like that. And that's the manifestation is what is, when we go through episode to episode, is the sketch to sketch, right? It's like the manifestation of these sort of electrical impulses in the brain turning into something physical. So yeah, no, thanks for the story. It was really fun. I know it's a bit of a short one, but I think that was a really um, sort of concise way to sort of jump from Batman Day and then go back in time and then back forward in time. So yeah,
Okay,
thanks, man.
so one last question for you, and then we can call it an episode. Is since we were talking about the sketch and talking about drawing influence and how that's migrated to film and animation and et cetera, et cetera. So of the actors who have played Batman, which one, or just, and not just the actors, but I mean like the portrayal. So so which is the one that's like has like is your number one?
Oh well, oh man, this it's a tough one. I think it's still going to have to be Tim Burton's Batman with Michael Keaton as Batman. So his version one, his Batman and Batman Returns, like, because then Michael Keaton can't come into the trilogy, but he didn't carry through the three. So that would be me. Which I know we're running out of time here, but the here locally in Flint at the Flint Institute of Music, I have tickets to watch the Flint Symphony Orchestra play the soundtrack to the Tim Burton Batman while the movie is playing behind them. Like they doing the movie thing, with the movie symphony thing. And that's in February, so it's not on Batman Day. It's in February of next year. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that's not why I chose that one, but it's great that it lines up with the symphony as well. But so what about you?
Love it. I love it. I love it. Michael Keaton is pretty great, and it was pretty seminal. I do remember seeing it in the theater and all that stuff, and was, you know, but I have to say that Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
you know, uh, and I love Tim Burton. I mean, it's like it's there's so many things about that are pretty great, but I think that you know I, I'm I think Christian Bale really got it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it, but at the same time, Robert Pattinson
Yeah.
and the
He's
new
good
one
too.
did good. I mean, it's like I don't want to discount that. Like, you know, so I can appreciate them all.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, um,
I'm glad that you at least feel as torn as I had to,
I mean,
but we can't pick just one.
Kevin Conroy from the animated series, his voice of Batman was pretty great.
Yeah.
Because then then you get to nod that Mark Hamill, was the Joker, against Kevin
Oh
Conroy's
gosh.
Batman, and so we could
Those
rabbit
I
hole,
love the cartoon
yeah,
version
rabbit
too,
holes and
animated
stuff.
thing.
So anyhow, this
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah, here's to next Batman Day.
Cheers to that.